Around 60 students have been infected by COVID since schools reopened in the state on the 2nd of August, following a spike in the numbers. The state government has now decided to close all schools till the 22nd of August as a precautionary measure. Worst hit places include Kullu, Kangra and Shimla, where crowds of tourists were witnessed recently. Now, that's as far as Himachal is concerned, but let's also talk about Punjab, where 27 school children were found COVID positive, and out of a total of 27, 21 were found in two Ludhiana schools, which have been closed as a precautionary measure. Meanwhile, in Haryana, which was the first to reopen schools for classes 9 to 12 from the 16th of July, reported 6 cases of testing positive to virus who were of students testing positive of those who were studying in schools in Fatehbad. Earlier in March, 54 school children tested positive in Karnal district as well. So those are some of the details here with regard to what's happening on this front of schools. Arundhati Chavan, who's president of the Parent Teachers Association, joining us here. Thank you very much for joining us. That same question to you, really. What is your perspective on whether schools should reopen given the situation we are in? Because states right now seem to be confused.
Actually, parents are not for it because state government has taken just decision in a haste. And there is no, schools are not prepared for that. And moreover, after so many months, schools means once the children will meet, there is going to be an interaction with them, and no proper guidelines are not given by the state for the reopening of the school sanitization, and we are not sure whether those things schools will be able to manage with the 70 students in one class, 60 students in one class. So it is everything has to be pre-planned and then take a decision of reopening. But I think that Department of Education is means not thought over it that how to go about. So parents are also under a lot of stress that if schools reopen, then whether to send the child to the school or not, what he will miss. If we will not send the child to the school, he might miss his studies. So many things are there, but that the state government has to work it on and then implement the decision.
Yes, fair enough. Point taken there. Dr. Jayesh is with us as well. Now, Dr. Jayesh, what is your perspective here? Because obviously the first thing and most important thing has to be safety of children, and whether or not schools can handle, and getting so many students to school and making sure that the protocols are followed as well.
Hello?
Dr. Jayesh, is my voice reaching you?
Yeah, I need to speak. Am I audible?
Yes,
Hello?
Please go ahead. What is your perspective on reopening schools?
Yes. At this moment of time, the clarity is not there how the students are going to be accommodated, whether they are going to be coming on alternatives. Because, see, when we are talking about the social distancing in the schools, especially in India, so much of crowding is there. So it will be difficult, and the children without even 12 to 18 vaccination has not been done. So at this moment of time, even if the teachers have vaccinated the entire school, the children can be carriers and then they will spread the infection. That is one very, very important issue is there. Then second thing is basically they have not clarity that whether there will be alternate day or this kind of a method they will use so that the crowding will be less. So I think at this moment of time, without being discussed, I think this is little bit premature of opening of the schools at this moment of time when we are anticipating and talking every day in and out about the third wave.
Right. Yes, absolutely, Dr. Jayesh. Those are some valid points here. But do you think there is any scenario in which schools could, in fact, reopen? Because while, of course, on one hand, there are experts like you who say that it may not be a good time, but there are also those who say that with the proper precautions, schools can reopen. What do you think those precautions, what kind of a scenario could schools actually reopen in?
Yeah, I would suggest that the schools should be, instead of 6 days or 5 days in a week, they should open 2 days for a particular class, so that there will be proper social distancing will be maintained. They will be spaced out. Rest of the things can be done, and those students who see the practical, suppose they have any science practicals or anything such things which cannot be done more on the performance kind of a thing, which they cannot do it at home or on the web. So that can be accommodated in the science lab or something like that. So that precaution has to be taken. Masking the children, how much they take care, we are not so much this thing. Second, I would suggest that most important thing will be instead of 5 days, 2 days of school, which will percolate that some activity has to be
Right.
started, because it is now almost 1.5 years that the schools have been shut, and something the education is definitely is at the back foot while this closing of the schools.
Yes, and that is also the very important point there. Arundhati Chavan, my final question to you here, like Dr. Jayesh was pointing out, education also, needs to be kept in mind as well, and the kind of, the way students have been in the past year and a half without being able to go to school, that also has to be taken into account. What kind of a scenario would make you comfortable if schools had to reopen at this point?
It has to be done gradually. It is not that, okay, 8 to 12 they are saying now, but that also has to be done very gradually, because all the children coming together in the school will be very difficult. It's not a good sign, because then social distancing will not be maintained and all. Moreover, 2 days a week, okay, it's a solution. But then few classes 2 days a week, and then others, it can happen that they might miss their studies. So the planning of the timetable should be such that the children studying in the same standard will not miss, will have similar studies at and then another thing what I wanted to share
Right.
is even sanitization in the school. Daily sanitization is very important. Maintenance of the washrooms and all, because these things are means counted when whereas child safety is when we talk about child safety. So everything has to be done. Preparation has to be done beforehand, and then announce the decision. The management
Right.
has to be mentally prepared for that. Because see, there are government schools, private schools. Private schools, at
Yes.
least, okay, they will try to maintain the safety of the child. But what about the government school, where there are number of students is more and no budget for sanitation and safety? So that is why I
Yes,
feel
absolutely. Arundhati Chavan and Dr. Jayesh, thank you so much for joining us with your perspective on this issue. Obviously, a lot of aspects and angles need to be looked at before schools are allowed to reopen.